Hello. In this video I want to show you how to build a Docker container running mkdocs based on the Alpine Linux distribution. The idea is to use mkdocs as a project documentation with Markdown. Markdown is basically a simplified version to build your documentation without having to deal with the tags like HTML does. Just with simple pound signs you can actually do underlining, you can do different features just using the simple markdown and eventually give them the same look and feel. On modern project documentations becomes much leaner because you can just focus exclusively on the content of your documentation and just let the tools like mkdocs build all the references and everything that you can possibly need in order to build your documentation. As you can see, there's some old-fashioned HTML, and eventually you can just simply list it, and eventually the output is going to be similar, but it's going to be much linear and much faster. It doesn't take much to get familiar with Markdown. It's a great tool for documentation, and actually a lot of the modern developers like it because it's just focusing on that, on content. So let's go ahead and get started. This video has been recorded with a software ShareX, the version 12.3.portable. Everything's virtualized using VirtualBox software, the version 7.0. Currently I want to be virtualizing an Ubuntu machine 2304. And of course I'm going to be running Docker as a containerization engine, the container software 2502. And we want to be containerizing because we don't want our container mkdocs image to be super big, like in the size of gigabytes. We want it to be really lean. We want to use Alpine Linux to actually build all dependencies. I'm going to explore some of the theming eventually available for the mkdocs to be able to change the look and feel. And in order to do that, I recommend you to follow. I just published about four files in a Docker repo in GitHub in order to do that. So let's get started. Right now I have a Ubuntu machine virtualized, is running 2304. And is running, I assume you had Docker installed. As you can see in Docker images, in Docker version is actually just the basic portainer and hello world. So let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is create a folder, mkdir, let's say mkdocs1, cd my mkdocs1. And as you can see, we have some space to work. So the first one is going to be the simple Dockerfile. As you can see, we can actually see the raw text. There's nothing to it, just like a regular Dockerfile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the file directly from GitHub. I'm going to move the Dockerfile to just Dockerfile. As simple as that. And if I take a look, basically what it says is actually from the Python library, the Python 3 Alpine. I want to pass an argument variable, some user. I want to run the adduser, in this particular the mkdocs. I want to do apk add and apk add bash and git. And once we have that, I want to associate some environment variable for the particular user. I want to actually build in that particular user source mkdocs the build. I want to run the install additional libraries such as Python, and after those mkdocs-material, which is one of the themes, and eventually we see we can actually build some other themes. So there's nothing really to it. In order to go ahead and execute that one, just like any other Docker file, I'll put you the instructions just in terms of the how-tos for the single. And the single is going to show us that actually one of the commands that actually going to be running here is going to be let's go ahead and build the dockers just like that. Literally you can actually use those commandlets. Basically what it's going to do is actually build together. I have something on cache. I've done this before, so eventually you can see this actually is not like TV magic. Docker images, it will show me that actually I have a container version in Alpine, which the size is 181 megs. That's exactly what I wanted to achieve. Small, lean, portable. That's what we want to try to do. Eventually, if I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate that actually that's executable, the version on this command can actually do the Docker run interactively and eventually execute the commands help. And as you can see, actually you can have some options to build and do something directly from mkdocs. So from that point, I want to go ahead and use the temporary directory p documentation, and I want to build my first document. So eventually I can just make the temporary pdoc, I can do run, and eventually execute the command the new build. What it's going to do is actually going to build two files, the index and the docs files. If I do the ctmp, I can see that there's a pdoc1, and on pdoc1 I have the mkdocs YAML file, and if I go to cddocs, I see that it's one index markup. Cat index markup, I can see there's actually some text. Okay, it's everything's good. So what I want to do is actually, if you needed to go ahead and run inside the container, you can execute this command, and you want to take a deep dive into the container. You can actually build more things. As you can see, your environment variables is directly within this container. You can actually execute and do more things within the container. But what I really want to do is actually run the container interactively in port 813 for the browser. Is my port that I want to be using internally in the machine. It's going to be loopback and localhost. What I can see is actually right now on the machine that is running, I'm doing some port forwarding on port 8213 directly to localhost. That's how I achieve it. So as long as I expose port A123, it's going to be internally locally associated to the 10 pdoc1. It's going to build the serving the container directly on that one, based on the mkdocs YAML file. If I just copy directly this snippet of code and execute directly into this, what is going to go ahead and start running the web server. And as you can see, it started it in port 8000. I need to hit the A123. So if I do HTTP localhost 8123, I can see my first command list right here. Now, something to check it out. If I go to another console and in the same box, and if I go to the TMP, see the pdoc1, and eventually within docs, I go ahead and create, let's say, page 2. Let's say I'm gonna do vi on 2.md markup, section 2, section, chapter, paragraph, you name it. If I save this file, you can see right away that actually section 2 appears, and it starts showing all the things that actually I just type. There's some kind of version, there's some kind of something like lorem ipsum that actually can do markup ipsum. If I save it and go back to the project that I was showing, you can see that all lorem ipsum that I just pasted actually completely unbuild my documentation. As you can see, the beauty of this can actually let you see on lorem ipsum how this is supposed to work. You can build your documentation and get everything ready and working. That's super cool. You can actually make your documentation. If I do happen to do event documentation, and I just have two files, and look how much I got in terms of the pages. If I copy to that markup language to 1.md b1 section 1, and I potentially can say generate my new markdown, copy to clipboard, and go back to number 1, and just focus on the documentation. Everything just text file and markup. Let's see how this looks. Now I have section 1, which actually has some text. I have section 2, which is a lot more text. Everything's markup. It's just text. Super cool. And the only thing I have, look how much I got. And the only thing was editing 3 text files, like one EMD. As you can see, if I expand this page, it's going to be just text files. That's all it is. So there's a lot of potential in this. Now let's take this one. Let's raise the bar a notch. What if we want to do some kind of theming, like actually change the look and feel on that? Well, that becomes more interesting. So in order to do that, yes, we definitely can do that. One of the things actually we have is one of the ones is the has many, another Docker files that has many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the web server right here, and I want to create mkdir my mkdocs2 just for the scope of this exercise. I have nothing. That's my working directory. So on the second one, let's do Dockerfile with many Alpine files. If we take a look on raw, we'll be able to see that it's actually the same command, the same script, but now we're adding a bunch on run pip install a bunch of themes. I want to copy this URL. I want to get me that file, and I want to move the Docker file to Docker file. And as you can see, the only thing that changes is the installation of the execution of run pip install different themes like Material, Cinder, Bootstrap, Dracula, Bootstrap, Terminal, Lantana, Swan, Ivory. It got my attention GitHub and the Gitbook. So those two got my attention. I go ahead and just like we did earlier, as you can imagine, it's a Docker file. You might not even need to actually take a look to the how-tos, but just in case, here's the file. And basically what we want to do is look at in raw text. I want to just Docker build the version 2 of the images. Now let's take a look one more time. Docker images. So we got the version 1. I want to build the version 2, which is going to be different label. As you can imagine, now some of those things are cached. It's actually going a lot faster. In your case, it might take some time to start downloading and compiling and doing the binary pip installation on that. Of course, there's something that did not like it. This doesn't exist. Take those two. I need to check the Docker file. mkdocs-1 and okay, he's doing the install. He didn't find the cache in some of those. That's fine. As you can see, you know, in this case, it's not in cache. It's actually recompiling some of the files. Maybe something on the creation of the copy on the page. I can double check the Git repo. No big deal. It's just one of the packages. Now, as you can see, it's actually running. I'll go ahead and modify that accordingly to make sure we have the respective correct files. But as you can see, it's doing dependency 17 out of 29. And in this case, we'll be able to run the same thing. We want to be ending with a larger image of a container, which is fine. And once we run a larger image, we have the opportunity to change the look and feel of the template. And that template is what the one is going to drive the different states of our documentation. So as you can see, is doing some installation. It probably can take quite some time in some cases, especially if we're going to do everything. There is no cache, everything from scratch. It can definitely take a little time. But anyway, some of these won't help us because some of those are cached. So that's moving fairly quickly. And one thing I like to check is actually the while this is actually running, let me just kind of run a little quick search. Some of the things we want to edit it is going to be on the mkdocs, going to be the theme. That has to be some kind of the things on the variable, and basically what we do is going to be on the mkdocs in the main file, and basically you just put a like a YAML theme, the name and the name of the theme. There it goes. It's installing the Gitbook at this time. Yeah, definitely something went wrong on the GitHub at the time it parses the main source code file on the parser, on the copy paste. On that one, definitely something broke. I double check before this one. By the time you watch this video, it should be fixed. But definitely something that you know, nothing's perfect, just kind of some things on the clipboard. It kind of come with some things, but we see that it's running. It's basically running. It built the container. Now it's going for all the caches. The caches run pretty quickly, and the ones that are not is actually downloading. The Python is downloading the particular themes, and it's actually compiling and putting right there in terms of the name. Typically in the YAML file on the mkdocs.yaml, what we want to do is we want to put a theme, and then we want to assign the name, and the name is going to be respective. The name is S1, Ivory, KPN, Custom Meal, Team Bootstrap, Alabaster, Windmill, so on and so forth, Gitbook, Bootstrap 386, Nature, Moonstone, so on, and all the things we have. So, and to demonstrate, we might reuse some of the documents that we built already on our exercise one. So that's gonna be really cool. Almost done. We're about to get cooking pretty soon. 27, 29, getting there, and I think this is a pretty cool project. Maybe considering pushing this image into Docker Hub. That'd be kind of cool, just to say Docker run and just download and get it running, instead of having to start doing all this downloading compilation. But it's good exercise just to know exactly how things are getting there. From here to push to Docker Hub is a very easy, it's no big deal, and probably even convert the Docker file into a Docker Compose. That'd be something cool. Okay, we're done here. So Docker images, it will show that we have the version 2. As you can see, it's about 80 megs, 80, 90 megs bigger than the previous image. So one of the things that we can definitely do is actually see if it actually runs, and eventually invoke the container running something to give us a help on the particular container. And the return on that one is going to say, okay, yeah, you can pass the argument. So it seems like things are working. Let's go ahead and run the exercise on the part of the temporary pdoc, in this case number 2. We want to go ahead and do that. I want to build it. Eventually it's going to create a directory, and temp pdoc is going to create the file that I was talking about. Let's go ahead and dive into that. So temp cd pdoc. Alright, cat mkdocs. And as you can see, we don't have absolutely nothing but a name. So let's go ahead and edit it. Let's do vi mkdocs. Let's call, let's put a cool name. Documentator. I want to put a name that's called theme. As a team, I want to put a name. I'm going to use maybe read the docs. Okay, let's try that. And then what I'm going to do is actually likewise in the other one, I want to do the Docker run, and what I want to do is actually export a port A12 and A123, which actually didn't have before. I stopped the web server, and then it's actually go ahead and served on that one. Let's see what it looks like. and read the docs, it gives us some theme. It's slightly different than the one we had before. What I want to do here is actually, I'm going to copy from temp pdoc1 docs. I want to copy 1md. I want to copy 2md, which is only the text. It doesn't matter what it is. As you can see, the sections automatically advertised here. This is the things that we put earlier. It's very agnostic. It doesn't really matter what is the text. It's very agnostic. The look and feel change completely, and look at what we have. Now let me go ahead and do this, do vmkdocs. Now let's go ahead and do something here. Through the install, we went to some iterations, right? And the iterations that we went through actually include different themes. Some of those themes were called, for example, the classic material. Let's say there's another one called, let's say, Cinder. As soon as I refresh the page, look, the look and feel changed completely, and the navigation is still working. This is pretty cool, and your documentation is just a text file. The other part is actually could be, let's go to Navigator, another one. Let's take a Dracula theme. I think it's gonna be, not sure if it was Dracula theme or just Dracula. Maybe just Dracula. Check the documentation for those ones. Look at that, it's Dracula. Look at that. Automatically make a dark theme on that one, and you can make your own one, of course. Documentator. That part of that thing is here documented in GitHub. That's what I get on GitHub, the mkdocs catalog. You got the Cinder, the bourgeois. That's where you have the installation. Each of those ones is going to tell you exactly how to build the code, how to actually see, and eventually how to pip install mkdocs. This is going to tell you exactly what to do and how to go through that. So eventually what I just did is extract it all and put them together so we can have it at our fingertips. Let's say the bootstrap. Let's go to the page. It changed, look at that. It changed completely. Section 1, navigations. You have the previews, the next. That's pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and take a look. Something like Bootstrap or Simple Blog. Simple Blog. That's how Simple Blog looks like. Look at that. Your same code, your same text, just focusing on text. That's pretty cool. The other part, it could be, let's see, terminal. That's kind of geeky. I kind of like that one. Kind of back in the Pac-Man days. Unix all the way. So we have some documentation. If kind of code says, let's take a look to say the Swan. I kind of like that one, or S1. Look at that. As soon as we save it, it changed. You put things on the right. It changed some of the text. The text is exactly the same. It just kind of changed the look and feel. Creates some of your menus. I mean, it can get better than this. It's pretty cool. Let's check out the Ivory KPN. Let's say Ivory. Ivory. That looks pretty professional. That looks pretty sleek. Reminds me like the PHP days. Look at that. Just gonna get all your functions, everything you have. Everything based on the same file. Let's do KPN. Why not? It changed completely. Kind of greenish theme. Another version, yeah. And you can actually contribute to some of these ones. A custom meal. This is the one it was failed. That's the reason why it failed. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be an open. And I don't think Lantana is mkdocs Lantana. This is the two that failed earlier. I'm gonna modify those things, so by the time you watch the video, it's not gonna be there. Let me jump to Alabaster. And the look and feel is going to change to something more clean and neat. Look at that, even with a search. Let's go to Windmill. This one I liked it a lot. Let's go Windmill. I mean the Git book. Windmill is going to look like this. Not too bad. Maybe, yeah, no, not bad at all. I don't know why I went to the top, the drop down. Maybe something here to the, you can actually expandable sections. How about that? You can collapse it. That's kind of cool. Okay. Windmill. And there's a dark version of the Windmill. Windmill that's dark. Which looks like this. Similar to same thing, but it's actually, if you have more sections, you can expand it. Pretty cool. Moving on, Git book. I really like this one. Actually, for the documentations, it looks like a lot of one of the repos that you have. Look at this, clean, pretty straightforward. I mean, just what you need. Very simple documentation based on text file. We have the, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go to the nature. Little greenery color. Some the links still usable. They take you to the right place when it needs to be. And let's go for the GitHub. Let's jump to the GitHub. And there's GitHub. Nice. Anyhow, that's what I wanted to show. That's as far as we wrap it up. Very cool stuff on mkdocs for your documentation. Check it out, mkdocs.org. Markdownguide.org is the basic syntax, just to get familiar with that, just simple text. GitHub is hosting some of the documentation for mkdocs and some of the themes in case you want to be interested in one of those. And check it out. Just besides some of the Docker files, we have some of the quick and easy Docker files for you at your fingertips. Check it out. It's on Dino's channel, and I also recommend to check out the Denos Linux. It's actually how to build your own Linux distribution from scratch, super compressed, 2 gigs, live CD, and you can actually make it your own. Anyway, check it out. Everything's open source, and we have all the files and everything ready. Thank you for watching, and give a like if you like it. Share if you like it with your friends. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye now.